Greetings, family. This is Reginal Drummer, the Peopleologist, coming to you once again on the We Are Ready podcast. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. I encourage you to like, share, and tag us over on the Square Mile Media platform. Let everybody know that there's some good information coming out on a regular basis over here. Tonight, we're focused on, and it's a little late. We were scheduled to do this earlier, the first 100 days of the year. Just looking at some things that have happened over the last 100 days. But one of the things that we always focus on is making sure that we stay ready. And no matter where you are or who you are during this pandemic, or pandemonium, or this particular point in our lives, we've been sharing some things that can help us be in a better position. So we definitely encourage people to prepare, and pay attention. If you pay attention, you don't have to wonder or worry a lot of times when you hear all this news that's happening, because no matter how good it is, it could get worse. No matter how bad it is, it could get better. So we have to prepare ourselves. And one of those things that we've been preparing is, and we're going to go with it further, is making sure that we're ready for whatever is coming. And I'll say that again, we're ready for whatever's coming. Have yourself, your family, doing some particular, just paying attention and being aware, so that as a people, we're not the poster child for not knowing. So over the last 100 days, a lot of things have been happening. A lot of things have gone down. And I invited some brothers because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff that has happened, from vaccines to boosters, COVID-19, police shootings, Supreme Court justice nominations, gentrification, the war in Ukraine, elections, and even Hollywood. Will Smith slapping somebody. But how does that affect us? And what does it have to do with us? So tonight I brought some gentlemen on board, and these brothers are kind of like a heartbeat of the community, because a lot of times, and many times, fellas, I'm gonna bring you on there. A lot of times people never ask intelligent Black people what's going on. How you feel about this? What do you think about that? What are you doing about that? So about once every 100 days, we just have to bring it from a Black male perspective. So I got Mr. Nate Dyer and Mr. Eric Morton this evening. And brothers, maybe y'all can come in and give a little quick introduction for yourself. Get the people an introduction. They heard your voices before, but let them know a little bit about yourselves and what you're working on.
Brother Nate, go ahead.
And okay, all right then. How you doing, Brother Morton?
Great. How about yourself?
You're doing fine. It's great to see you. Well, my name is Nate Dyer. I'm an artist, graphic designer. I have a youth organization called Kids First. I do a lot of advocacy around young people to make sure that they have the proper education that they deserve, and that's the greatest in the world. We also, and I'm happy to be here. Just keep it short and simple.
Great. Good.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Well, good evening. I'm Eric Morton here. I'm one of the Atlanta trainers here in Metro Atlanta. I train in the areas of the movie production and also with forklift safety and training there. And I've just I'm a part with the Dads on Duty organization here in Atlanta with the Drummers organization, and I'm just absolutely just ecstatic to be here and hope to have some good information and good input on tonight's topic. So thank you for having me on, Reginald.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. And we just might as well go right into it. When we look at the current political climate, whether it's a national climate or local, some of the same problems exist on a national level that exist on a local level. Over the last 100 days, there's a lot been going on. Under the current presidential administration, we've seen some changes, and some of those things have been good, and some of those things have been not so good for Black and brown people. Uh, One of those things was uh, President Biden said he would nominate a person of color to the Supreme Court, and we've got a new Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji uh, Brown Jackson. She's definitely got a powerful name. She got Brown and Jackson. Uh, but when you get that, you say, well, what does that mean to us? Feel free to we got a new Supreme Court Justice, and she happens to be a Black woman. And her brother Nate, I know you ready. She happens to be a Black woman, and there are some things that trouble us sometimes when we have people in high places that represent us. Now she hadn't did anything yet, but maybe the question would be, how do you feel about her nomination, and what would you want her to do?
Well, I mean, we always have Black faces in high places, but we always wind up in familiar spaces.
Interesting.
Yeah, familiar spaces, but everybody else gets to move to a new location. We always get stuck when the person looks like us. It's amazing. And, I found out some interesting history. If you look at the Supreme Court justices, starting with Thurgood Marshall, he was a Black man. I think originally his wife was Black, but he wound up marrying a white woman. We all know Clarence Thomas is married to a white woman. And she's married to a white man. So when you look at that pattern and you look at the situation of Black people, what really changed? And you look at the common denominator. And then she's went to Harvard as well. And we know that does not bode well for us, period. So, but a lot of people on social media are like, hey, we got a Black, we got this and that. But okay, after that, then what?
That's a good point.
I'm done. Look, I want to see another Black president. I want to see if that person's gonna call themselves Black, well, damn, have some type of Black agenda. All this, the first this and the first that means nothing. Because we get nothing in return.
Interesting.
But Eric.
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna go back to the process of a lot of times when I watched some of the confirmation hearing, just a little bit of it, and how she was, and the things they were attaching to her to draw people away from what her qualifications were. And I think too often that happens not only in the political realm, that happens a lot of time in employment realms, that happens a lot of time in just people wanting to connect and discredit you, or you as an individual, because of who you may be related to or who somebody may have done something around you. And in so many times, the impact it has for people of color is that they try to make it be such a disqualifying factor, is basically your attachment to things around you that you can't control, because you can't control that, hey, your brother went to jail. You can't control that your sister might have been on drugs or something, or your father was an alcoholic, or your mom was she didn't take care of you when you was growing up. And it's like, okay, that's your home life, but that's not your qualifications. And we got to get away from following that. So that's my take on that. But it's interesting, brother Nathaniel's interest on it. So that's some stuff, some history about the justices that we really need to hear.
Well, I want to add one more thing to what you said, Brother Morton. In my opinion, that's the whipping process. They whip these people in public to say, all right, you see what we did to you to get you in here. All right, because it boggles my mind. Okay, like Obama, right? All the things they threw at him, but he wanted to be so peaceful, and knowing that people across the globe in this country are going through the exact same thing. Here she is, but do they put an effort forward to put an end to it? So that's just, we can start there to say, okay, I've been abused by the system. I know it doesn't work for everybody. And
Right.
I'm a prime example, but here's what I'm going to do to make sure it doesn't happen to the future generation. And that's absent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be, the expectation I have of people when they get in there is have some solutions
Yeah.
that you have for problems that affect people of color, especially because a lot of time we act like our agenda is always second or scared, because it's very clear when people are standing up for whatever their platform is, they don't make no bones about it. If they're gay, they step up and say it, and nobody says anything different. Everybody's like, oh yeah, great. But when you say something about, oh, that should be for black people, we're like hesitant to do it. And it shouldn't be that way, because if everybody else can stand up for whatever their platform is, people should be able to stand up for black platforms and feel just as confident about it and know that, guess what? You are up there for an agenda that affects people too, the same way if, people for fighting for other rights. So it should be accepted to stand up and fight for what you believe in.
I totally agree.
And fellas, I think about, I don't know when her first appearance on a ruling might be, but some of the things that's going to come before her will be dealing with voting and individual states' rights. Okay. Now, when you look at some of the inconsistencies that have been dealt in a lot of the southern states when it comes down to voter registration, purging people from the polls, and even having the governor intervene where they come in and put a team in place to police or oversee local elections. Now, some of those things are going to be some of the things that might come before her, along with abortion. You see some states are making it where if you get an abortion, even if you get it across state lines, they will find some way to hold you accountable. So these are some of the things, and they affect many people, but they affect Black and brown people disproportionately, because especially in the area of voting, when it comes down to abortion, or even when it comes down to some criminal cases, you would want the way that the courts are stacked now is not in our favor. So you would hope that she would be a pleasant voice of understanding when it comes down to, the things that pertain to Black and brown people. And I know you did bring it up. We America does have a way of putting people in place and showcasing what they like about them. In case, going back to Thurgood Marshall, even Clarence Thomas, and even our current Supreme Court nominee, who happens to be a Black female with a name like Jackson and Brown, and she's got African roots. But at the same time, we don't know what she'll do. But if she could rule favorable when it comes down to state elections, where you don't have them purging people from the polls, and a lot of these states are doing it. So let me see. Let me vote for them. And we have to think about, even though Joe Biden did that in his first 100 days, he nominated a qualified Black woman as Supreme Court Justice. But again, it comes down to the voting. What is she going to be able to do when it comes down to voting for, as on a particular thing? When the states exhaust all of their things and it goes before the Supreme Court, you hope that she can have an open, well, not say open, have some type of Black mindset, because she needs to understand that we are disproportionately affected when it comes down to voting, when it comes down to abortion and the laws that they have set up. So that's going to be critical. Is there anything in particular you would love to see her do other than just wear the gown?
Well, I say this, that's a good question, but I go to this voting rights that these people get elected, like this Warnock, Asa, all these people who want to carry the banner for getting us voting rights, right? Hell, if I haven't gotten it in 400, 500 years, keep that. I mean, we got other pressing issues besides an event that you go to, which isn't benefiting us. I go back to this judge. Okay, she's on there. We already know about the history. She's one vote, pretty much. Okay. What
Okay.
is her influence going to be? Or is she just happy to be there? Are you just a token placement? And the way that Joe Biden positioned it, anything coming from Joe Biden, I wouldn't trust it anyway. These Democrats and Republicans are pretty much, wish and wash about the same thing. So the Republicans, of course, they're supposed to give a hell. They're supposed to be racist to make the Democrats look like they're more supportive. But, if you're weak, what kind of support is that? You control everything, but you can't move nothing. But then when the Republicans in there and they want to run it with a strong fist, then you're complaining about there's no part, everything's there's no bipartisan decision making. So I'm tired of the games, tired of voting rights every damn year. We're voting. We're gonna make sure to voting and vote. Okay, well, fool, what is it benefiting us? All it does is show, like this one I got. Now he's talking about diabetes. Now he's talking about the ships. Fool, we got people being displaced in this country. Don't having some of your parishioners, you're still a pastor, haven't they lost their homes? Facing foreclosure.
Well, again, on voting, personally, I think voting is a local issue. One of the things that even when we looked at when they was going through the process of vetting the Supreme Court justice, a lot of those people that do that are people we vote for. Okay. True. And we have to hold these people accountable because they are our voice. Some of those issues when they put these people on these committees, like you say, maybe they got one out working on diabetes prevention and I don't know what else, but we have to, a lot of safe things, but we have to hold them accountable. I mean, we can write in this. What's that little lady, the crazy lady down in Paulding County? They took her off a committee, but the people down there are getting her ready because she's saying what they want her to say. Now, I might not agree with her, but we have to hold our local politicians accountable. That goes back to a lot of people you working with, the school board. And I know we just one person, one vote, but all around, we have to hold people more accountable. When it gets up there to the presidential level, the only people that can hold the president accountable is the Senate and the Congress. And we elect them. And the only people that we can influence people, we didn't know how powerful stuff is. When you look at a governor is powerful. A mayor is powerful. City council people are powerful. Local judges and people like that. All these people are powerful. So in the election process, we just have to hold them more accountable. So the first 100 days, everybody's on trial. Anybody that got elected should be looked at under a microscope by the people like us.
Yeah, and that's very true, because a lot of times, speaking of the local level, is that a lot of times cities and people are complaining about things they don't have in their cities, the proper restaurants or proper lighting and things like this. And this is where you've got to get engaged from a community standpoint and go down there and be a part of your community meetings. Go down there and listen to what your city council has to say. What are they planning? And because what happened is you get a chance to look at people who want to come in and bring in developments in there. Are they building too many warehouses in and around where you live? And they're not bringing in enough restaurants. Well, that's something that you need to have a voice in and speak directly to the city council and ask them, what are you doing to bring these businesses here that you want? And then have a list of what you want to bring in. Don't leave it up to them to bring somebody in. Get a pulse of the people around you in the community, from your homeowners association, from your churches in your local areas that affect the city that you live in, and get engaged and come up with a plan, a solution, and start taking it to your mayor and the city council in your local areas so that you can start to say that, hey, I have a voice here. And when that voice starts to be heard, believe me, people start looking at it from different levels, going up, your congressmen, your senators, because they will know that it's coming from the people. And it starts with you taking a local active point to start moving your community forward. It has to start with you.
Well, hey, it starts with me, and I take it through the process. But you see, these are only puppets. These people are owned by big business. So they have no power. I understand what you say. The position is powerful, but they don't use it to that degree. They carry water for the master. So, I use them as a conduit to take care of the message, but I don't expect anything to happen because, they're do boys and girls. They're sent in with an agenda. So, you just, okay, prime example, superintendent or school board. You just get in, you come from Birmingham, Alabama, and the first thing you want to do is close a school because of a property, a forest code that's in Thomasville Heights. Okay. But a contractor, Greg Gianelli of Purpose Built Cousins Properties, has some links to that. So you imagine that, okay, Thomasville in Atlanta is pretty much one of the highest levels of poverty right now. Okay. If they get that area and redevelop it to the tune of $1 million homes, high rises and things like that, it's a wrap. But see, that strategy has been in place over the years. So they put these people in place. So, I mean, I completely understand, what you're saying about going to those city council and all that. But, and that's my issue with the voting process. You're distracting people in these communities that are targeted for gentrification, redevelopment with a prize of voting when their communities are being robbed from them by the very people they voted to put in there, supposedly.
Well, and what you're saying is very clear but see, at the same time, the people in the community have to bring that up and let the people that are coming to talk about the vote, they need to hear the truth behind what is going on, because this is where these council meetings and stuff, when these people come in to talk about these properties and stuff, they have to bring the plan and put it there in the public. But see, they do this at these council meetings and stuff because a lot of people of color don't attend their community meetings. But yet still, they put it out there as a public message, and nobody's pointing out exactly what you're saying. Nobody's telling me that, hey, they bringing in this development, but they're pushing other people out. But if there's nobody in those meetings to see this, there's nobody to object to it, it's going to be passed.
Well, here's the crazy thing about that. Black people do show up and do voice their prime example. They had the first hearing for the Thomasville elementary situation. After the community told them at a meeting at the school, this is bad news because 5 of the board members minimally have been co-opted. They have received contributions from this guy, Greg Gianelli, Purpose Built Cousins Properties. Okay, I told the superintendent, I asked her, I said, this vote has not gone, you have not presented this to the board for a vote. She's like, right. I said, so, but yet this contractor has come out to the public and lied and said that the school has been closed.
Oh, the contractor took it upon himself to say this.
The contractor took it up. So that's insubordination, the world I live in, not only insubordination, but you usurp the board's power. And I told her, I said, they're compromised. I said, if you move forward with this, you're disingenuous. But see, the thing is, you can have 1 million black people saying no, but as long as some white people with money give them the agenda, they're going to run with it. And that's the issue that we as a community have.
Yeah. But at some point, the community, and I just have to look at some of these small towns, and they have people coming in, developers and things of that nature. But the people that they elect, they expect for them to represent them. And I think we have to have some degree of accountability. Some of these people have been sitting in these positions for years, and nobody's put them out. I've seen here, voting is not a priority in 2022. Education, housing, and jobs. Yes. And that's critical. Education, housing and job. But again, the people, it's got to be some degree of accountability. And
Well,
politicians, I know you ran for office before, but we gotta hold these people accountable. They get elected every 2 years. Somebody need to vote them out, run them out, you know. But go ahead,
well,
Brother Eric.
to Nate's point, what has to me to counterbalance that? Yes, what's got to happen is the community's got to step up and start their own fight and fund it with their own donations the same way as best they can, and start letting these companies know that you're not just going to be you're not going to come in here and railroad the community all the time by paying off these politicians, because their jobs and positions need to be pointed out and brought to the public too. So the things that you're saying here needs to be brought out in these public student council meetings. I mean, these are not student council, these community council meetings, to let people know that, hey, these people are being paid to say this. And you can say that in your public meetings when you're down and when you get a chance to get on that mic and let the public know these puppets up here are getting paid to sell the land that you all live around out from under you and actually push you out. So it's very clear.
And bingo, Brother Morton, bingo, when you said these companies, you see, that's who I target. I just, like I said, use those factions of city council, school board, carry the message, because right now we're talking about the first 100 days. We look at Airbnb, Visa, Google, and there's one more, Microsoft is moving to Atlanta. So they're using black boys and girls, and say it time and time again, as scapegoats for failure to usher this in. Why is it that 46 and did on my show last week, where we got about 46 schools out of maybe 86, I have to look it up, with F grades in Atlanta. But that's acceptable. Wow. There's no sense of urgency, but yet you got these I'm just gonna say billion-dollar companies moving here, but yet the education is that fragile. So and then they're moving people of color out. You got the Forest Code situation, where that place has been in disrepair for years. And the mayor that's sitting on, the current mayor, was a city council member when all this was going on.
Wow.
So, when we talk about accountability and the vote, it has not been beneficial to us. It seems like we lose on all the ends. You look at, I say the first 100 days looks like this for us. We're in crisis. Okay. We're in a major crisis at this point in time, as we look at what our young people are going through, the amount of opportunities afforded to them, the level of displacement in our communities, the homelessness, they'll say, the jobs and the income. So when is it gonna do we need their media to tell us black people are in crisis right behind the corona COVID cases for shots?
Yeah.
Well, if we didn't get the memo, but critically thinking, if you could provide a solution, because we say, okay, people are going down. Now, I might say people need to be more involved. People need to hold these people accountable. It should be no reason why you have city council people there 5 to 10 years. If the people gave a damn. I mean, if the people really gave a damn, people would get them out of there. It's not hard to get people out, but voting, when these people get elected in their districts, voting is around 15-20%. So 15 to 20% of the people keep these same folk in office, because the other people say, it ain't gonna mean nothing. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Okay, when it comes down to jobs, when it comes down to education, and you see the process, whatever city you go to, gentrification is everywhere. So it's not like it's a new thing. Everybody can get an idea of how gentrification works. The politicians that sit down there for a long period of time allow their districts to be infiltrated by new people. When those new people come in, those are upwardly mobile people with magic income, and housing goes up. Affordable housing goes from $700 to about $1,800. So that's gonna put all the the for lack of a better word, the non-interested people that just lackadaisical, they're gonna put them out and they're gonna have to go somewhere else. Now they've been shipping them down to Clayton County. Clayton County said we don't want them no more. They shipped them out to Douglasville. Douglasville said we don't want them. Now this is another thing. Ukrainians, they coming. People say we'd rather have Ukrainians because they coming with some money. They coming with some resources. Now it's sad that the government is gonna make sure those folk be the next group of people that come up. These are gonna be the people. Go ahead.
Because you're absolutely right. Because see, I just saw that on the nightly news before we came on, and they were talking about, they want to let 100,000 of them here and gonna give them 2 years to come up. Now, here's my problem with that. They don't even track the illegal people, the people that come here with visas at all for 1 year. So you mean to tell me we're going to let 100,000 people into the country for 2 years for them to get their act together, and we somehow going to give them a deadline to either be productive people or we going to track them down? Our government don't do it now.
Well, you see, somebody coined the phrase in one of the social medias, you see, white on white crime is going on. So they're empathetic to the issues of the Ukrainians, which basically, by all accounts, that's a racist, there's a racist country. They even have a military that follows, what is it? Well, Hitler's, the neo-Nazi ideology, but they keep that hush-hush. You look at how they treated the black people over there, the Africans, the Indians, beating them and keeping them off or forcing them to walk. But yet the United States wants them to come over here. And guess where they're going to go? The reason why they're
in our neighborhood.
Well, kiss it goodbye, because as they redevelop, and like I said, the small investment that these companies put in these city council seats, because these elections, like it or not, are rigged. You can just say it may not be so much of the votes and all this, but the amount of money that they put into these elections to make sure that their candidates win. And you see, they put a pool of them. They don't just put one, they put two or three. Yeah, 2 or 3. And they create one that's palatable to the community, but they're all in cahoots with big business. So we have to do things a little differently and attack the puppet master's hands. And when we attack him, he manages puppets to say, hey, look, cool out, give them what they want, et cetera, et cetera. He's the person. We have to change our course of action in thinking that these mayors, these city council, these school board members are going to do anything for us. They don't do anything unless the master pat them on the head and say, look, boy, you're going to vote this way, you're going to do this, and et cetera, et cetera. We got these Ukrainians coming. Like somebody says, Ukrainians may be coming, but they ain't have foot on our... see, they're the same ones. They're going to come in with a boot. I know in the comments it says a foot on our neck. These people are coming with a boot. And guess what? They're going to have $800 billion to do it with. Joe Biden isn't sending that money and the equipment over there. You all remember East Lake Meadows? Have you all seen that documentary?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You all know how it's okay, but you remember how that housing was for white people at first. And they kept it all clean and nice, and it was for upward mobility so that the white people would start there, but there was a promise that they would be able to qualify for a mortgage to have their own home.
Right.
Duplication of that process. And see, here in Atlanta, who's the common factor? Cousins properties, purpose-built neighborhoods that's replicating this. And see, I would say soccer is the name of the game in this city. These people are big soccer fans. All right. Mm-hmm. So you look at the amount of money, the property value is going up. Hell, they got a $10 million house in the Bluff.
Yeah. Well, now we got to look at these. We talking about the first 100 days, and I know that's a pet peeve, because you say, man, how can you take the same dirt that was worthless 10 years ago when they filmed that thing all those places were jacked up. But now, because they bringing new people in and new money, now as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and I know sometimes people say, well, you're selling out. But a brother he broke it down simply to me. He said, Drummer, I'm gonna tell you something. All across America, there's an opportunity for everybody. Now, not the best black and brown people, but if we slip it, they're gonna bring other people in that gonna feel better. And like the lady said, the United States had their foot on our neck for 400 years. It's gonna be some new people that come in and put their foot on your neck. And my thing is this: is since we here, is there anything black and brown people can do? Now I know the vote is one thing, but we can hold and control our economics. Okay, we can control our vote. We can control our economics. We can control how we treat and manage each other, because people get a different narrative. There are going to be people coming that
we have to change the narrative.
Okay. What's a good step?
You said what?
What's a good first step?
Okay, this platform is one step. We're not talking about booty, ass, or getting high and
Right.
drunk, which is the new narrative that they want to attach to black people. We're not showcasing guns, being ignorant, and telling where we live and what areas we. So we have to bring the ability to think, to communicate, to have a backbone, and say what we're going to have and not going to have. It's our time.
Yeah, I agree. We got to have a solution based for what we're talking about, and we have to back it up with our actions. And people want, and Nate, to your point, people have to put their money where their mouth is, but they also have to put their money where their action is.
Yeah.
Because it's too often times we don't do that. Like I said, we want to go down to these city council meetings and point the finger at the people up there, but we're not even telling them solutions that we can come up with ourselves. Why are you letting these people think for you that you want to change, but they ain't changed nothing, and you gonna leave it to them? No.
Yeah. You cannot leave it to them.
Exactly.
We are very capable people. And you see, the thing is, we have so much history of the cycle continuing, or doing the same thing. History repeats itself on us. But this time, I think it's going to be worse because, they're really attacking. I say that we're in a crisis. Our young people are some of the best and the most brilliant young people, but yet they're labeled inadequate, incapable of learning. A school giving a grade of F to make it vulnerable for these people to shut it down, close it, and then reopen it. So it's basically the white population or the new population that comes in can benefit. So when our young people are being incarcerated or given 100 years, 200 years, we have to point that finger at ourselves. But for some reason, people think that, there's a certain, this is this black group's problem, not this black. All this society sees and the world sees is black. So you may have $1 million, and we can talk about this situation too. The guy who was not allowed in the restaurant, Barrett, the football player.
Well, they wouldn't let the mayor get in there. Did she have some leggings on or something? They told her she had to get up behind out of that restaurant.
So again, we're all in the same bowl, and when we understand that, and we bring our credibility, change the narrative, of course, our credibility up, we will have few problems like that.
Yeah. Well, one thing, and I know we looking at different things, but ain't nobody coming for us. Okay. Right. If you thought, they said the preacher's about to buy Jesus back. I mean, it's gonna be difficult for us to get any hope unless we push on it. Yeah. And that they might take small groups of people, like-minded people, to come together in the neighborhood, but I think we can do it. But we have to have a plan. I know you out there, Nate, sometimes mobilizing people to focus on just one issue. And that issue could be to stop a school from closing. And if you can get that done, the issue might be, and I know you've done it out there, Brother Eric, to stop a particular entity putting something in the neighborhood that's going to foster bad behavior. Well, sometimes we got to look at eating this elephant one piece at a time.
Exactly. No, because what you referred to is actually right, and that's what I mean by you've got to get engaged in it. You have to find out about it. And what Drummer's referring to is that probably now going on about, I want to say almost 15, 16 years ago here in our neighborhood, the J.C. Loudmore detention facility, which at the time when I moved over here, I didn't realize their actual facility bags up to the back of our subdivision. Well, what they wanted to do was expand it and literally cut down trees all the way up so that our neighborhood can literally look over and watch detainees playing basketball less than 50 yards from the backyard of our community. Yeah. And we fought them and told them no. We stood up to them. We went to the council meeting. We found out behind it. And like Nate said, we found out it was other people they were trying to use that didn't even live in our neighborhood to try to get these people to say that it was okay. But we had to tell them, no, this community, this stuff is not okay. These people who y'all got saying they signed off on it, they don't even live down here in our neighborhood. And we called them out. And yes, they were Black people that were being led by the corporate dollars so that the Department of Correction could expand on us. And we stopped them because we got engaged and found out that, hey, they hadn't poured no concrete. It's not too late. If they haven't poured the concrete, it's not too late.
Yeah, and that's great work. That's definitely what it takes. And, I have another name for them. To call them Black is almost sacrilegious. Because, it's like, okay, how do you separate? But, they bring ringers in. Yes. And so that's why I say, the whole process is pretty much rigged in that because it's big money that's behind this. So if they got to go through all this entire process to get their candidate in, to push their agenda, and then provide funds, chicken for the people to get them to come out and say, hey, no, we're for this, even though they're not for the community. This thing, it stretches far and long, wide and high.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, one of the things, now we and I know a lot of brothers participate in sports. We can tell you how the Hawks can get to the NBA championship. We can tell you how who should be put in position for a Super Bowl team. So we have mindsets of how to get things done. Now we see the play that's been ran by America for the last 400 years. Okay? Simple play. They run it all. It's like the option. You already know how they gonna run it.
Yeah.
So we know we got to be in position. Ain't nobody coming for us. If we let the politicians go, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna sell us out. If we let our religious leaders go, they're gonna sell us out.
Yep.
If we let our any businesses off the hook, they're gonna sell us out. Now, the only time we have any clout is when we organize and come together. When we organize and come together, look, what's the thing? The Montgomery boycott. The most effective thing Black folk have ever done as a collective was that. We just said, you know what? We ain't gonna get on that bus.
Shut it down.
I'll walk out, and they will walk to the Miss, we call her Miss Ann. That's the white lady. They walk to Miss Ann's house. And Miss Ann would say, SMA, I'll just pick you up. My husband don't want me to give you a ride, but I see you willing not to get on that bus. But see, when we get weak and we go into stores that come in the neighborhood, take our money, when we support the brands that are giving everybody money, when it should be almost, it shouldn't. Now think about this. Whether you look at the LGBT or Jewish groups, one of the reasons they have a lot of power because they control their economics. People don't mess with them because they say, well, you can't say this, you can't build that in their neighborhood because they're not going to support it, and the people they know not going to support it. So we have to organize ourselves, and we can just do one thing. Like it could be anything and rally behind that, whether it be to stop a local prison for putting prisoners in your neighborhood, to closing a school down that we know that if they work with that school, black and brown kids could get a better education. We have to just rally behind that. But that's going to be the factor. And I know we always use the acronym train, inform, mobilize, and empower our people, because a lot of distractions are happening. And those distractions are keeping us from focusing on what needs to be done. Other communities, the only reason they ain't smarter than we are.
No.
But if you're not aligning yourself with their key issues, they don't support you. I mean, if black folk, I ain't saying you got to threaten them, but one thing you have to give white people, and I know this happened last year, they do not mind letting you know they upset. They're not going to put a little sign up and say, Black Lives Matter, please don't hurt us. They going straight to your house. Now, until we get, I'm not advocating violence like that, but if somebody voted wrongly on whether it be an educational project, a gentrification project, they shouldn't be able to walk down the streets without bodyguards.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just how white people do it. They just say, "Hey, you just not gonna come here and do us wrong." That's why when you see what's the lady out there, I can't even think of her name, out there in Paulding County. The reason she raised so much sand, because the people say, "You gonna talk like us." Now we can call her crazy, but she gonna get elected again by the people of Paulding County. Know why? Because she is their voice. See, we don't have a voice, and every 2 years we can get them people out of there. But they'll show up 70% of their vote show up and vote her in or out. So we have to organize and come up with strategies where we can win. These first 100 days, these plays have been ran. Whether it's the Supreme Court justice already in there, the Ukrainians, they coming. They're gonna get some houses, some homes, and some loans. There will be businesses opening up and jobs created. And unless we demand that jobs be set aside for our young people, it ain't gonna happen. I give Maynard Jackson, back in the day, that was one of the things he said. He said, "You can't do this, you can't dig this dirt, you can't plant this flower unless you hire so many black folk." And we have to get like that. Black first, be one.
Yeah, I mean, it happens in Canadian. The Canadian people, you can't go up there and shoot movies in Canada and don't hire none of their techs and none of their actors. Just X-Files. If you go back and go back to the X-Files, when I learned that this is what's going on, they don't play that mess. You ain't coming up here and shoot up here in our country and don't hire none of our people. They like, no, you can't even shoot up here. And that's how it has to be. And that's how it has to be, that there's nothing wrong with you. It's a funny, people around the world, when they step up for their people and their causes in their country, nobody says a word about it. But if we do that, people act like it's a problem. I mean, come on. Yeah. We got to get just like everybody else.
Well, I think, like I said, one of the reasons we come together so often just to hear what black males have to say. You know, we might not clap our hands the same way or think the same way, but somebody has to know how we feel about something. They got to know, Nate, how you feel about these schools, the work that you put in. We got another brother that's working on reparation. He's meeting with a a state senator. They had a meeting with him early. Well, somebody's got to do that fight. Okay, whatever that thing, it could be reparations, it could be neighborhood, making sure the neighborhood is going to be stable. It could be, and one part of being and making sure the neighborhood stays stable is keeping schools in the neighborhood. Because once they stop a school from being in a neighborhood, that neighborhood will go down to zero. And when it goes down to zero, I mean that the value goes down. People start leaving because nobody's in the neighborhood, because they say, well, one of the reasons people move to nice neighborhoods because of what? Schools.
Schools and
so that should be hint, clue, clue. If you can't get the young people are moving long term to put their kids into school systems. So if you don't have a school in a neighborhood, that means you're gonna have liquor stores. If you don't have a school in a neighborhood, you won't even have a bank. I see. I see a point here. They're filming all in the neighborhoods, and nobody's getting a piece of that pie. Black people. And I'm gonna say this, and I know this is gonna sound cold, but one of the things, and this goes back to early years, if you were, whatever you did, you had to deal with the people in that neighborhood. If you were loading stuff off a boat, you had to hire the men. This is New York, New Jersey, all those waterbound states. You had to hire local people to unload the ships. Now, we got black labor. Now, we could demand certain things even without violence, but sometimes it takes a little bit of violence. You start breaking up some of these movie equipment instead of breaking in houses and stuff. These people say, you know what? We need to hire some folk that's in the neighborhood. See, we fight for the wrong things. Our young people, when they battle up against us, carjacking us, you need to carjack some of the movie sets. So they'll hire you. But these are the things are at schools. When we should know that if they close a school down, that the neighborhood is up for sale. Because once that school is out of there, property value goes down. The wealthy people come in, just like they did over in the Bluff. It ain't a school in the Bluff. You can't name a school in the Bluff. They'll close them all. And it should have been a writing on the wall where people say, man, you know what? That's a pattern. When they close schools down, hint, hint, clue, clue, neighborhoods suffer. Okay? Liquor stores, prostitution. Because the only way you can have a girl on the block, because they can't be on the block 500 yards from a school. Okay? So you can just do your own little math and say, man, maybe that's why these neighborhoods are being infiltrated and ran down to the bottom. Everybody come in back in the day, everybody did their dirt in the Bluff. And like you said, Nate, they got a $10 million house in the Bluff. And a 50, and I think it's about two $40 million churches over there already when they got that money from the Home Depot, Falcons got. Yeah, they got that money. But anyway, we have to be proactive. We see the game plan, just like we comment on sports, who the Braves need to pick, who the Hawks need to get. We can do the same thing with our politicians. We should run for office, control the office. We need to rent, lease, or control a politician. At least one of them. They need to know that they won't be there if they don't do what we say do. That lady out there in Paulding County, the reason she doing all that nutty stuff, she already know she don't have a job unless she do what them crazy folk say or tell her to do. She's not doing that on her own. She know, but the people telling her that's what they want to hear, and she'll get back in office. But we don't do that. We fall in love with politicians, preachers, and we let them do whatever they want to do, and our community suffer. But anyway, on another light thing, I just want to ask you guys this, because this did happen the last 100 days. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. Now, some people say It was good for him to stand up for his woman. Some people say it was staged. Some people say it was a low day for black and brown people. But I don't know how you brothers feel about that. Even if you thought about it, it might not have been on your radar.
two points on that. I can look at, let me start from Chris Rock's perspective. And I'm going with the fact that it happened genuinely. That's just my basis for it, because genuinely it happened. For him to have the conscious of where he was and what he represented and the control factor that he had was something that we all need to take heed in. And I mean, all this, especially men, black men of color, especially, we've got to learn to control ourselves, because too often times we react against something, and the consequences of reacting to something, even when it happens to us, is even worse than what happens to us a lot of times. That's one. Two, Will Smith, from his perspective, if he's standing up for his woman, I'm not mad at him about that either, because too often times this should be a wake-up call to everybody and understand you can't say and do everything to anybody simply because you got a mouth. You can't say that. There are consequences, regardless of what it is, the consequences, there's going to be some repercussion to it. You may have the right to say it, but guess what? Consequences are going to have a right to impact you, period. So that's just my 2 points on it.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Hey, well, my viewpoint on it is we covered tonight just how people of color are used, to just do us in. This was supposed to be Will Smith's big night. Okay. His wife was there, regardless of whatever problems they may have. His wife was there. His family was in attendance. Okay. Chris Rock, supposedly, whatever relationship, friend, or whatever, he's supposed to be a guy of color. You can poke a joke at the awardee, but I wouldn't go over the top. But to rob this man of his moment by digging at his wife in front of a national audience, yeah, he should have slapped the hell out of him 3 times, and laughed about it and not apologized. Because too many times, black men are misrepresented as being weak, docile, and run over. And that's why we get the things we get. We get, the trees cut down in our neighborhoods. We get the schools closed on the children. We all want to talk about sports and who scored. But when it comes down to standing up and having the backbone, we put that in the closet. So, yeah, that was, in my opinion, it was a great moment for manhood, black manhood, to slap the reality into some people that it's a new day. We got a whole lot of things going on. Whether he knew about Will Smith's wife's crisis, she's not the target. She's not the focus of the night.
Exactly.
Why attack her? But you want to take advantage of her because they poked you and said, hey, look, they're social media hot as far as hot topics in their relationship. So you want to put your face on the line, your chin on the line, where I say you got what you deserve. And that's my point.
Okay, I like that point, brothers. Now, over the next 100 days, we just went over a couple of things, but I know you brothers going to be working on some things. Just share with the audience some of the things that you're working on for the next 100 days and how people can participate and join your efforts.
Nate?
Okay, all right.
I got to think about that a little bit.
Right now, what's going on is the Thomasville situation. And if people aren't familiar, I'm big on, I feel like ground zero is when we protect our children. And it starts around education. We can't go into everybody's homes, but one place we can go is that public area called a school where we can have the best education provided for them. When we do that, guess what? That controls gentrification. That controls development coming into our neighborhoods and displacement. Then as it relates to reparations, when we possess the greatest minds in the world that the world wants to pull from, it's a done deal as far as what we would get in this country. But we got to rally together in your own way well, sometimes people's own way isn't effective. But we got to be vocal. We got to show up, and we got to change this narrative that Black boys and girls are not failures. I don't care what type of background they come from, whether they have or don't have. We need to shut that noise down. And if they want to lean on it, okay, what are the solutions? But our young Black boys and girls are going through a lot. So they're trying to close the school. I mentioned earlier who's trying to do it as purpose-built in town, Cousins Properties. It's all about doing East Lake Meadows all across the country. Go to the Purpose-Built Communities website and you'll see it. If we don't do that, we're going to have the worst situation of homelessness, displacement, nomadic living. And then, if they got new people coming in that's going to be afforded housing, I say welfare off of our backs, we might as well be looking at slavery once again, because as far as the labor that's going to be available, it's going to pretty much be in the fields or that stuff that nobody wants to do. And then they'll probably ship our young people across the country to be that labor. So let's wake up, world. Let's wake up. We're in a national crisis. If our children aren't on getting the best education and the appearance of not succeeding on ultimate levels, what does that look like for our future? So you can get in contact with me at Nate at Kids First. That's NATE at KIDFIRST.PRO. And that's the plan of action and the solution. And the people the targets are the corporations, the Microsofts, the Airbnbs, the Visas, and what is it? Yeah, it's not, I'm just saying from my vantage point, city council and all those people, they're weak when it comes to the dollars coming into the arena. And it goes all the way to the White House as well. Warren Buffett, Tom Cousins, come on now.
Thank you, brother Nate.
Thank you.
Well, I'm actually working, like I said, on focusing on improving myself, first of all, in terms of getting my training down and getting it better and refining that so that I can be more effective, because I'm looking at changing some things this year in 2022. So it's really been a focus on me trying to basically get my resources together in and around me. And I would suggest everybody take a look at the resources around yourself and your community, the people that you have, everybody from your mechanic to people out there, and learn how to help build a community using the resources that's right there. Use that. So I'm trying to help in my community by working on myself to get my skill sets back up to where they need to be, because I'm going to be probably definitely making some changes here in 2022, a little bit further on. And I can be emailed at law, L-A-W, Morton, M-O-R-T-O-N @gmail.com. Be sure to put a note in there before, because I don't open emails that I don't know, but you can reach me at lawmorton@gmail.com. So thanks.
And thank you, brothers, and thank you, everybody. I was looking at a lot of stuff in the chat. If we ain't working, ain't nobody working. And we have to hold certain things straight. One thing you have to look at in this country, if certain people are not happy, you know about it.
True.
Nobody knows about it when Black folk are not happy with something that is pertinent to us. They tell us what not to be happy about. Right. Y'all need to be happy about the chicken sandwich at whatever this store is. Y'all need to be thinking and focus on this. Well, we have to start focusing on ourselves, our communities, and our families, because ain't nobody else looking at us or looking out for us. And I encourage everyone to stay ready. We focus on being ready at all times. You need to have these conversations with your family members, because if every household was able to organize around one thing, just one thing, there would be so much being done. If you're not trying to hold down your schools in your neighborhoods, that's a biggie. If you're not trying to make sure that if any work comes in your neighborhood, that somebody in your neighborhood is working, that's a ball drop on you. So with that being said, I encourage you to do whatever you can to help reshape yourself, your family, your neighborhoods. We've been putting some things out about even maintaining your property or buying some property. One thing, we know America's for sale. You might have to come together as a family and buy some property so that you can be a property owner. At least you got a little bit more to stand on, because if you rent from somebody or you lease from somebody, they're going to sell it out to the highest bidder. And next thing you know, you're going to be shipped out and looking for somewhere to go. So we encourage families to come back to the table, to work together and find a way to make this thing happen. This is Reginal Drummer, the Peopleologist. Also encourage you to like us, share, Square Mile Media Atlanta, and subscribe. We need to get some more subscribers over here. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll be back next week. Until then, thank you, brothers. Thank you, everybody in the chat. And you know what we say over here? The secret of walking on water? Just knowing where the rocks are. So have a good night.